Hey, and welcome back. What I'm going to talk to you today about is, I think, one of the most important films I have ever made. It's about being human and how we might or might not perceive extraterrestrials. I think our visible universe is teeming with life. Astronomers have observed spectrum, the marker lines of different atomic elements in other stars, which are far richer in all the building blocks of what we know as humans of life on Earth everywhere. But that raises an enormous and fascinating question, and that is, would we, as humans living on this planet Earth, even recognize life? Of course, the classic Star Trek quote is, "It's life, Jim, but not as we know it." Let's define how we know life. We were born, we were made, we evolved on this planet. Our senses, our eyes especially, see an incredibly interesting, narrow waveband of a much larger electromagnetic frequency. Let me tell you something really fascinating that I've learned about a counterintuitive ways our eyes work. Why do we only see from deep red to indigo? Why don't we see infrared, and why don't we see ultraviolet, and of course beyond? Other creatures do. Did you know that infrared we perceive as heat can hurt us? Ultraviolet, we have to wear sunglasses and can hurt us. The reason we see everything between those two extreme frequencies is because it doesn't hurt us, and we can live normally in red, green, and blue light. And here's another fascinating fact about how we perceive reality, about our consciousness, and that is white light doesn't exist. Photons are single colors of energy. We see white by an amalgam of all these separate colors. That's what Isaac Newton found when he split white light up into its separate frequencies by bending it through a prism. And how we measure time is entirely dependent on us, our heart. Our heart is the beating clock of our time base. Our seconds, our minutes, our hours, our years, our millennia, our families, our generations are all timed by our beating heart. Imagine an alien extraterrestrial on a different time base that moves so slowly that we don't even perceive it's alive, or so fast that it's invisible. Quite possible. Plus our size of humans. We're all roughly the same size within parameter, but aliens could already be here. Most life on Earth is single-cell creatures. It's quite unusual for multi-cell creatures like us, a symbiotic collection of cells that do specific things joined together to make this large blobby thing. Most creatures have one or two cells. Viruses don't even have a cell. Bacteria, life as we know it could be very different on an extraterrestrial planet. I hope that's food for thought and you find it interesting. I'm very interested in what you have to say about how we perceive our reality. And let's not degrade humans. We're incredibly clever. The universe, everything in the universe, isn't normally in its solid state as we have it, as a lump of metal. Most things are plasma and are very, very amorphous, or they change. We are incredibly lucky here on Earth that most atoms, most matter is stable. And we're clever. We can build things using the qualities of, say, a metal, its strength, its lightness, its heat resistance, all three things that we use to build jet engines and airplanes. We fly around in bonds of electrostatic force. When the wonderful Ernest Rutherford wanted to investigate the true nature of the atom and looked at solid gold, the idea originated is that gold was made up of plum pudding of hard stuff, meatballs, all joined together to make, say, a sheet of gold. But when Rutherford fired alpha particles through this solid gold sheet, they went straight through. And he described an atom as a cathedral, as empty space, a tiny nucleus with a probability of an electron somewhere in the cathedral, and hitting the nucleus he described as shooting a fly in a cathedral. And that's what gold's like. So we are just forces. So would we as humans perceive an extraterrestrial who might be faster, slower, bigger, smaller, or made in a way that we can't perceive, in a way that is just an electromagnetic force, if they visited Earth? I think it would be strange. I like the sightings of strange stuff, high strangeness, as Jacques Vallée described the good sightings of extraterrestrials, which have been seen. Thanks for listening to what is a bit of a lecture. I apologize, it's just my age. But what I'm going to say now is actually very intriguing. March 2023, the world has changed. Something has happened in ufology, in the world, that changes our perception of visitation. I'm being extremely careful with my words. I know what has just happened. And this gives me a real dilemma. I'd like to just tell you here and now who, what, where, and when you are being lied to. But to explain fully the people who aren't telling you the truth, I have to protect myself. And it's going to be only available to patrons in a private site for my protection, and $1 to view, just to say that you're a member to unlock this very interesting information. So go over to the Patreon site and join the debate, and in a few days you will hear a bombshell about what's really going on. A big clue: in the American UFO encounter community right now, there's been an enormous change of people with a new insight into who knows what and who's not telling the truth. See you there.